He lifted her high in the air, he sniffed and roared and smelled her there.
Khal Drogo is looking drawn and swaying in his saddle. He makes no reaction as large bloodflies circle and bite him. This concerns Daenerys, who is used to seeing her husband catch the hated insects with his hands, quick as a snake, when they come too near. Drogo tore off the poultice Mirri Maz Duur had prepared for him 6 days ago, complaining that it itched. Instead, he used the soothing mud plaster of the herb women. He has also been drinking poppy wine, fermented mare's milk, and pepper beer heavily, but not eating much. At night he thrashes violently, and even the kicking of their unborn child no longer seems to interest him. As Daenerys reaches for him, Drogo reels from the saddle and falls heavily to the ground. Daenerys rushes to him. Only half-conscious and struggling in her arms, Drogo insists that he must ride, for the Khal who cannot ride is no Khal. Now Drogo has fallen from his horse, and it has been seen. When Drogo's blood riders come up, Daenerys commands that they will halt for the day, and that the slaves be called to erect Drogo's tent. The blood riders are not happy with either command. The region is not a camping ground, and a woman cannot give orders. Daenerys insists that Drogo will punish them if they do not obey her, and commands Kotho to find Mirri Maz Duur. Once the tent is erected, Daenerys and her handmaidens bring the feverish Drogo inside and bathe him. Finally, Ser Jorah Mormont arrives with word that Drogo's fall is known all over the camp. He asks Daenerys to send her maids away and breaks the plaster from Drogo's wound. The wound has festered and is rank with corruption. Ser Jorah declares that Drogo is beyond saving and that they must flee before he dies. Daenerys asks why she should run, since her son will be Khal after Drogo. Ser Jorah explains that the Dothraki follow only the strong, and that the Khalasar will not follow a baby. Instead, the Khos will fight for the leadership, and her baby will be killed as a challenge to their authority. Daenerys insists that her Khaz and Drogo's blood riders will keep her child safe, but Jorah reminds her that the blood riders' last duty is only to return her to the Dosh Khaleen in Vaes Dothrak and then follow their Khal. Daenerys does not want to return to join the Dosh Khaleen, but she also refuses to leave Drogo. Mirri Maz Duur arrives with Kotho, looking exhausted. Both Kotho and Hago, taking one look at Drogo, blame the godwife and start beating her. When Daenerys demands that they stop, Kotho threatens to take Daenerys out to be raped along with the Magi. Ser Jorah intervenes and eventually the Blood Riders leave. After they leave, Ser Jorah explains that the Blood Riders die with their Khal and are now beyond fear because they see their death approaching. Daenerys tells Ser Jorah to don his armour. Once the night left, Daenerys tells Mirri Maz Duur to heal Drogo. The god's wife states that he is beyond help and will be gone by morning. Daenerys pleads with her, insisting that there must be a way, a magical way. Mirri Maz Duur admits that she does know some dark magic learned at great cost from a blood mage from the Shadowlands. It will cost a life. Daenerys asks if it means her life, but Mirri Maz Duur assures it does not. They lower Drogo into a bath and bring his stallion into the tent. Drogo pleads with Daenerys not to use forbidden blood magic and allow him to kill the Magi. It takes Rakaro, Quaro and Aggo to force the frightened stallion to the tub while Mirri Maz Duur chants. The god's wife uses a red bronze knife covered in glyphs to cut the horse's throat and fill the tub with blood. The god's wife then orders Daenerys, who is now filled with fear, to leave the tent. No one must look upon the old and dark powers the god's wife's spell will wake. Outside, the gathered crowd stares at her. When Ser Jorah, now in his armour, sees the bloody footprints Daenerys leaves, he asks what foolish thing she has done. Daenerys can hear the Magi's voice and see the shadows moving inside the tent. The Dothraki start to mutter and draw back. Drogo's blood riders return with the healing eunuchs, and when Kotho sees what is happening, he moves towards the tent, intending to kill Mirri Maz Duur and then Daenerys. He pushes Daenerys aside as she tries to interfere, and she screams for her Khaz to stop him. Quaro is quickly cut down, but Ser Jorah steps forward to confront Kotho. Without his helmet, the knight is hard-pressed by Kotho's rapid strikes. Then Kotho's arak cuts into Ser Jorah's hip and catches on the bone, giving Ser Jorah the opportunity to kill him. Meanwhile, the other blood riders and members of Daenerys' Caste have also come to battle. Drogo's whip catches Hago around the neck, giving Rakaro the chance to kill him. Daenerys is hemorrhaging from the birth of her child and crawling towards the tent, screaming that the price is too high. The Blood Rider Kaholo catches her and is about to kill her when Ago's arrow takes him in the chest. When Daenerys raises her head again, the crowd is dispersing. Some are saddling horses and riding off as the sun sets. She cannot rise, and the shadows are whirling inside the tent. Ser Jorah comes to assist her and calls for her handmaids to get the birthing women. Doria informs him that they believe Daenerys is cursed and are gone. Then she hears someone, possibly Ago, telling them to take her to the Magi. Daenerys knows she does not want to go into the tent, but cannot speak. Irri and Doria both agree that they heard Mirri Maz Duur say she knows about birthing. Ser Jorah carries Daenerys into the tent.
I demand a trial by combat.